live with the best father and son team on the internet. It's time for Homie and the Dude.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Homie and the Dude, the father and son MMA and TTRPG team. We are so excited for this end of year podcast, what we call the meta cast, as we have done the last couple of years. You notice things are a little bit different. We're not dressed in our Christmas jumpers.
We aren't. We don't have a list of things to talk about.
We don't have a list of things to talk about. This is going to be a fun one, guys. So, first of all, we're going to do a quick recap of 2023, talk about the various ups and downs that we've gone through, and just do a little recap of 2023 for HATD as a whole. And then we are going to enter into a new kind of section of topicking, a new kind of stuff for us to discuss. I recently saw a podcast called the Man Enough Podcast. It's a super awesome podcast where two gentlemen have very open and vulnerable conversations with one another. And they did an amazing show that I really, really enjoyed. And Tom and I are very communicative people. We talk to people a lot. And I wanted to see if we could do something very similar. So we're going to try and have, after we've done our year recap, a very vulnerable, very open conversation with one another about our feelings towards one another, some stuff we need to work on, and things like that. But we'll come to that when we get there. First of all, let's talk about 2023. Let's look back on 2023. Let's look back on where it all started. Let's get into like January and the early part of the year. We were dealing with the OGL stuff. It was all the OGL stuff, and we were freaking out over at Homie and the Dude.
Yeah, we were thinking of launching our Sky Zephyrs Kickstarter when in February originally.
Yeah.
And then we kept pushing it for different reasons. We kept pushing it, but the OGL was certainly, it was existential for us. We were like, shit, this could be it. Like if the OGL, if they really, really, do what they say they're gonna do, where do we go? What do we do?
If they really cut ties with third-party creators, then where does Homie and the Dude go? We started looking at other systems. We started actually at that point branching out and playing other systems, because at that point we'd only played D&D and we'd only experienced D&D in terms of TTRPGs. And then we started branching out and playing some other ones and testing our kind of our leather at some other stuff.
Just checking our options. We hadn't monetized anything at that point, really. I mean, we'd done little bits and pieces here and there, but we really were hanging our hats on that first Kickstarter. And so when that whole thing went down in January, we're like, what now?
And we were deep in Sky Zephyrs at that point. We were deep in writing the supplement. We were deep in, getting art done. We were deep in like starting marketing and starting to promote it and, get it out to the public eye. And we were fucking deep at that point. It was when the OGL stuff came out, it really threw a shock to our system.
You know what I learned from that whole thing before we move on is you and I took the approach of, look, let's just wait and see how this whole thing shakes out. And I think behind the scenes, you and I were like,
fuck WotC.
Yeah, this was like a huge like injustice to the community. And what I learned is
we should have been outspoken.
We need to step up more and
be leaders in the community.
Be leaders in the community, because I think, it was a very, very like we'd been doing stuff for 2 years and we just needed to make some money. So there were some things that we were considering, but I think in retrospect, people like Mike Shea, like D&D Shorts, like they led the charge. Like the lady
Dungeon Master Dave,
Linda
Kuzega, MCDM. Matt Koval's whole thing.
Yeah. So
Paizo.
Yeah, it was a moment that if it comes up again, I feel we need to stand up and just be like, okay, this is what we feel about this stuff. And
I agree. I think we didn't want to piss anyone off. We were worried that, someone might come for us legally, and at the time we just didn't have the money or the time to try and deal with anything like that. So I think we were just afraid. And I think, you're right. I think we made a mistake there, and I think we will do better next time. And I think that's something we'll definitely do better. But what it did lead to, actually, which was my favorite video series that we've ever made here at Homie and the Dude, which was while we were testing out new TTRPGs, we tried out the Magpie Games Avatar: The Last Airbender system that they had brought out that was powered by the Apocalypse. And though the system we found was a bit clunky, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's not one of my favorites.
It had very little rules for combat and lots of rules for socializing, which was a weird contrast to D&D, and was super, super interesting. I think the video series was
It's one of
my
your favorites, isn't it?
favorite story that we've ever told yet. It had so much depth. It was, we told the story of the inciting incident of the 100-Year War in the Avatar world, which for anyone who knows what that is, that was the Fire Nation invading and massacring the 4 air temples across the lands in Avatar, and kind of trying to eradicate the airbenders because they knew that the next Avatar was going to be an airbender. And I'm just really, really proud of how we went about it. I thought the concept of starting with this beautiful wedding, like starting on such a high in the show, and us like kind of the first episode kind of lures people into a full sense of security. By the way, guys, there will be spoilers. I'm gonna just give some spoilers. So if you want to watch the series, maybe skip over this bit where we're talking about Avatar and go watch the series and then come back.
Before you do that, like, are you gonna go in spoilers right now?
Oh no, good going.
I was just gonna say, like, before you go into like a little bit of the plot and everything, you know how in the past you and I have been like, with certain of our favorite movies, that movie was perfect. Like the story arc was just perfect with it. I think of like, and it doesn't have to be like, Academy Award movies. Like we think that of Wedding Crashers. We think of that of some like, old school Will Ferrell movies that are just like, there's just a perfect arc there. That's.
I mean, Kill Bill.
Kill Bill.
Her. Like, like Forrest Gump. Yeah, those are a couple of Academy Award-winning movies, but those are movies. Spirited Away.
Yeah.
Movies that really,
I feel like
meant something to us.
Our Avatar series was as close to that as we've ever come.
I fully agree with you. I think it was the most well-rounded plot we've kind of had. And so we started on such a high with, this wedding and how beautiful that was. And then, by the end of the episode, everything is a shit show. The Fire Nation have arrived and interrupted this beautiful wedding, this super beautiful moment that was already like high emotion, but it was like positive high emotion of like feeling, a type of way about this beautiful wedding kind of happening. And then from there, you guys just dealt with it really, really well. I think, we had, the next episode was you guys, kind of escaping your temple and leaving your temple and dealing with the initial fallout of being part of one of these massacres.
Yeah.
And then, very Kill Bill-esque in the wedding massacre kind of going on.
Yeah.
And then the next episode was about you guys actually having a moment to breathe, because the first one was you guys just escaping and trying to just survive as this shit is going on, and the second one was you guys just trying to escape and survive, where the third episode was like, we have a breather, we're traveling to go warn the other air temple, and you guys had a moment to breathe and communicate with each other and talk about stuff, express frustrations, express sadness, and it was a very like hard episode.
Yeah, we'd all lost family members. It was it was almost like the aftershock, the trauma. It was almost like the PTSD of like, whoa, what
just happened?
What just happened? Yeah.
Yeah, and so we told that one, and then the final episode was this amazing stand, the final stand at the Eastern Air Temple, which for anyone who knows Avatar lore, that is where the final stand of the Airbenders was. Back then, before the air temples were rebuilt on the Korra timeline. But it was this beautiful final stand, and we discussed beforehand, a lot of people don't like this, but we discussed beforehand, we knew that all the players were going to die. We knew that every person was going to die. We were going to have a full party TPK. We knew that everyone was going to die, and we tried to really kind of construct these beautiful moments that gave each player a death moment that felt like we'd done that player honor, like we'd done that player justice. So Tracy's character and Ben's character had this beautiful, like, we're just going to fight to the death in this hallway, protecting this person who had information. It was Nuon Beifong, who is an ancestor, who is a character we made, who is an ancestor to Toph Beifong, who is one of the group of friends in the Avatar series who teaches Aang how to earthbend, the little blind girl. And it was one of her ancestors, and they defended her so she could escape and bring information to the White Lotus about Aang.
And that picture
alive.
of that is they're defending against 4, 6, 10, 20, 50, and it's just like, oh, it's not gonna.
It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they knew, and And we had this beautiful last moment. We didn't describe them dying. There was no moment of actual death. We just had their final like attack, and it was beautiful. And I think Tracy did a great job describing the emotions of her character in that moment. Ben played so beautifully, saying goodbye to his newlywed bride, who he's only had like 3 or 4 days being married to because of the massacre. But he had this beautiful just moment of like knowing that he is saying goodbye to like the love of his life, and he's like sacrificing himself to save her. And that was just so fucking emotional. It was so fucking heavy. And then I think for me, dude, your ending was by far my favorite. I think, you know, Tom's character, Tom played a firebender who had emigrated from the Fire Nation as a young person and had moved to the Air Temple with his mother at a very young age. And they had kind of been living the Airbender, Air Temple lifestyle for about 15, 20 years of your life. And you battling your own father, who was one of the generals leading this massacre on the Eastern Air Temple, and you battling your dad and having this moment, this ending where you could decide to kill him or do the best thing for the moment, which was destroy the first airship that had been built. It was the first one. It was the only one in their armada at the time. You know, obviously later down the timeline of Avatar, they build many more airships, but you destroyed this airship and chose not to kill your dad, and you almost took this high ground that almost was incomprehensible to him. And was this like beautiful moment. Not to mention, again, like we laced so much Avatar lore in this. So Tom's character actually redirects lightning and directs it at the airship because his dad hits him with a lightning bolt, and he redirects the lightning. And him redirecting lightning is something that Tom did before General Iroh had even learned how to do it. And, you know, in the actual Avatar show, Iroh is the one who is one of the only people that can do it, and he teaches Zuko how to do it. But it comes from a water-bending technique that he learned how to do. And I think just lacing that moment of you actually being the first person to ever redirect lightning, to use it for good and not to fall to your own devices of killing your father who you hated and who was causing all this harm and dismay. It was just such a beautiful moment. And for me, it was just fucking powerful. It was so powerful.
I actually liked the moment, the epilogue after that. And here's what I would say. I would say if there's one episode of podcasts, actual plays, anything that we've ever done over the last couple of years, that's the one.
That last episode. Yeah. I agree. I fully agree.
It chokes me up just thinking about like that. Last bit was
the ending.
Yeah.
For me, it was hard to get that last bit out. I really struggled because the story of Nuon Beifong, Toph's ancestor, who all of these guys sacrificed themselves to save Nuon and have her leave and have her, you know, continue on their legacy. For me, it was a really hard thing to try and actually convey in that epilogue because, and I had different moments. I had her pregnant with her child that the team didn't know that she was pregnant at the time. None of you knew that she was pregnant at the time. And I did like a little fast forward to her delivering the information to the White Lotus that Aang was alive and they need to go find him. And her being pregnant at that time. And I think that hit everyone. Everyone was like, oh my God, she was pregnant this whole time. And we so did the right thing to save her.
Yeah.
Then fast forward to years later, she's this legendary person, this legendary figure of the rebellion against the Fire Nation, who has been, you know, there's stories about her that we haven't told yet, that I would love to go back and tell the story of Nuon after post all of the stuff that happened with the Airbenders. But she's this legend who now has a new husband, a family, her son that was Ben's child, as well as also a new daughter with her new husband. And she's in this moment where she's like, it's been 10 years. I need to go pay homage to these people who defended me. And she goes back to the Eastern Temple and just has this real sad moment of seeing your corpse still there, going in and like burying Tracy and Ben's corpses and dealing with just all this emotion and just this pain of what she left behind and what you guys sacrificed for her. And that epilogue was hard for me. I really I'm not sure if you remember, I was just struggling to get through that thing, to talk my way through it.
It was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking.
It's just heartbreaking all over the place. It's heartbreaking of her taking on a new husband after truly loving Ben. It was heartbreaking her having 2 children that were both like, Mom, like, don't go, like, I want to come with you. It was heartbreaking, you know, her going back to the place of this massacre that happened, and it was just great. But I think, and we ended the whole story with, years down the line, Toph walking through her house and seeing a photo on, God, it chokes me up a little bit.
At the mantelpiece.
Yeah, a photo on the mantelpiece of her great ancestor Nuon Beifong with Ben's scarf, because Ben had a marital scarf that he wore that he gave to her.
We're such wimps.
and it was such a beautiful way to end it. And I think it was the moment we told the story of Toph after Aang had asked her to come and help him, her struggling to decide whether she wanted to go and help Aang, and what made her decide was looking at the photo of her ancestor Nuon and wanting to go out and help Aang at the time at the plot line of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So it was just a beautiful piece of history. It was a
Forgotten heroes.
Forgotten heroes. A tale of forgotten heroes, a tale of loss, a tale of love, a tale of friendship between you and Ben, and Tracy and Ben, and
crazy courage,
just power, in ways that I think are lost. And power, you know, you say we're wimps, but I would say powers in the emotion, powers in the vulnerability and the weakness.
How far are we into this? We're into this like
16 minutes.
16 minutes into it. We haven't even gotten into the bit where we're both like, oh, that's going to get a bit emotional.
So, you know, that was, and I'm so for the OGL bit, for the beginning of the year, I'm so glad that we got to do that show. I'm so glad that we did that. And I will forever, through everything that we create at Homie and the Dude, be so proud of that show. And I'm excited for us to revisit either those characters in a prequel, which we've talked about doing, a prequel to those characters when, you know, way before the Fire Nation attacked. We talked about doing a sequel with Nuon being one of the characters that you guys play and doing a sequel with different characters. I would love to revisit that world. I'd love to revisit those characters.
I would too, but with a little bit of trepidation that we don't capture the magic again, and we don't have as good of a story. You know how like Hollywood sequels just...
That's almost why I would rather not do a prequel and would rather do a sequel, because we can do something fresh and new.
New characters.
You know, have Nuon come in, who was a character I played, and give her to one of you guys to play, and then have new characters and a new plot. I think we would probably want to do a sequel as opposed to a prequel.
Yeah.
Just because it would be something new and things like that. So I think that'd be really fun at some point. I think we've got to find time to do that, but I'd really love to do that.
We may sync that up with the new Avatar not actual play, but
live action. Yeah, that'd be very cool. Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Coming out possibly end of this year or this coming year,
end of 2024.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm down as well. So then from there we moved. The OGL stuff kind of settled. WotC apologized. They, you know, released the SDR and the Creative Commons license, and kept the OGL, updated it to make it even more open and free for people.
Yeah.
Which we were super relieved about. And at that point, it was hell for leather. We got to get Sky Zephyrs done and ready to release it. At that point, Homie and the Dude went through a very hard time. When April through to June was a hard time because you know, we have a staff, we have a group of people who work with us at Homie and the Dude. We had 2 artists and an editor who worked with us at that time. And based on the fact that, you know, we have a budget and an amount of money that we can pay people and stuff that we were doing. So alongside writing Sky Zephyrs and prepping for that and building out the shipbuilding website and just building out all this stuff, we had to tell 3 of our employees that it was likely that we weren't going to be able to keep them on through that time. And so we had a really hard time saying goodbye to some of our employees and some people that we really, really cared about, and people who brought a lot to Homie and the Dude, who brought not only their energy and their enthusiasm, their work ethic, their drive, but also content and quality, you know, art, quality editing, you know, and all this stuff. And that was super, super hard for us. How was that for you? Because I know for me, it was rough. It was super rough.
Yeah, it was hard. I mean, and the thing is, like, we've spoken to each, like, they're all still in our Facebook group chat. They're still in our Discord. So they all, you know, are, I wouldn't say like on a daily basis, but on a fairly regular basis, they'll swing by and just, you know, share what they're doing, how they're progressing their own lives and their own careers and everything. But yeah, it feels, you know, sometimes running a business is hard, and that's saying,
Starting a new business.
yeah, saying, you know, goodbye to key initial people that had a real, you know, their fingerprints are on a lot of stuff that we've done.
Yeah, we had to prioritize some stuff, and that was a very hard decision to make. Around that time as well, I was feeling really pressed to get Sky Zephyrs done. We'd pushed it back, you know, April, May, June, July, and then we were like, right, August is when we're gonna, like, we can't go any further back than August, or else we just can't even keep the doors of Homie and the Dude open, and it goes back to just being truly a passion project that you and I would work on in our spare time, as opposed to any sort of day-to-day kind of work
with a team
with a team and all that kind of stuff. So I was feeling a lot of pressure at that point to get Sky Zephyrs done and to make it good, to make it, you know, a viable thing.
It was a big unknown, like, you know,
super unknown. We fucked up. We fucked up so many things leading up to the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I think all of it was unknown. Like, writing a first D&D supplement was an unknown.
Yeah.
Marketing was an unknown. You know, all of it. Like
the process of how to do the writing, how to do the marketing, how to plan for a Kickstarter, how to lay out a Kickstarter page. You know, everything was difficult.
You know, we did pretty good.
Excuse me.
We may have been able to do it a little bit better, but we reached out to a lot of people and we're like, look, you guys have done Kickstarters before, or you've done marketing before.
Yeah. Help us.
Can you just share, you know, what has gone well for you and those types of things? And I think we learned a bit along the way, and we've been trying to carry that forward with, you know, with stuff we're working on right now.
100%. And so August came. The date came.
Yep.
And
that was a cool date.
And we were ready. We had a great time on the date that we launched the Kickstarter. We ran a live stream, which I think we'll probably do for every Kickstarter that we do. We'll probably have a launch live stream. Yeah, and it comes with a lot of risk, because you're either going to watch your campaign flop in the first in the first 6 to 8 hours, or you're going to see it succeed. And we were lucky to see our campaign do very well, but simply because we had put in a lot of work into marketing, we'd put a lot of work into, you know, getting the word out there, and, you know, I'm not sure how this next Kickstarter is going to go, because we've had far less time to put that work in marketing and things like that. But we had a very fun live stream. We had a bunch of guests on.
That was a cool bit. Like, we had a lot of our homies that we have just gotten to know through just being in the TTRPG community. So it was a combination of really good friends that we've developed over the course of the last couple of years, almost just like as a just an acknowledgement of our friendship to them, but also we had some very important contributing people that were part of the Kickstarter. We had our central artist that did a lot of the Kickstarter artwork for Sky Zephyrs. We had basically our central, you know, person that laid out and did a lot of the different aspects of the book layout, the Kickstarter page layout, all that stuff, and then just really enjoyed the time with friends, you know, around the table, but also virtually. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was really nice. And Kickstarter started off well. Got off to a good launch.
and then it flatlined for like 3 days. And
flatlined,
we were like, oh,
very
shit.
hard. And then we opened up into a space which was contacting other content creators and asking them to help us with promotion, because they had bigger audiences, and that really helped us massively.
Yeah.
And then we came towards the end. And towards the end of the Kickstarter, by the way, during that time, our whole team was working flat out. I'm continuing to finish writing the book, continuing to finish the layout and bits and bobs like that for the version 1 of the PDF. We're making sure that, you know, all of the fulfillment stuff is going to work. We're making sure that, you know, that the Kickstarter updates are being done, that we're responding to comments, you know, that we're still doing marketing and all this kind of stuff. So we were flat out through August and a good portion of September as well. Kickstarter ended in the second week of September, first week? It was second week, because it was the 14th, wasn't it? 14th, 15th. And that was a fucking relief. to say the least. I don't know about you. I was so glad to just be done with what felt like an enormous weight and like pressure and fear and stuff on our shoulders.
I could feel it with you. You were, although like it was our first Kickstarter, and looking back on it, not just that we, you know, hit our goal and superseded our goal and opened up stretch goals and all this other stuff. We learned a lot, and I looked at it as, I think, at that point, I don't know where you are today, but I looked at it at that point as like a real success for us, a new business. We didn't make Critical Role or, you know, Matt
Monkey
Colville
DM,
or Monkey DM numbers.
D&D shorts numbers.
But we did okay. We did okay.
We did enough to keep the doors open to our next Kickstarter. We did enough to keep Homie and the Dude, the employees that we had at the time. We did enough to just get us through, basically.
Yeah.
And shout out to everyone who backed Sky Zephyrs.
Yeah.
Shout out to everyone who took the time to back and support Sky Zephyrs and take time to, you know, listen to what Tom and I created, you know, spend any amount of time being interested or caring about Sky Zephyrs. You know, it meant the world to us that anyone even listened. Like, I think, you know, we had 800 or so backers for our first Kickstarter, and I think that was just something that I don't know, like that felt kind of crazy. It felt kind of wild, you know, and it felt like
times are tough, man. People are like, you know, having to
inflation's going up.
Yeah.
Fucking shit's hard at the moment.
Yeah. Backing something that they hadn't seen before. We didn't have a track record, you know, they took a leap of faith for us. So yeah, forever like grateful for this first group of people that took a chance with us, and, you know, built out our Discord. We have a big community of those folks in our Discord, and you know, hope to continue to develop our friendships with them and prove ourselves as content creators and continue to give them things that they love and appreciate and enjoy playing and all of that. That's behind it all.
Totally. You know, we made Sky Zephyrs because I needed Sky Zephyrs because WotC had dropped the ball on all vehicle combat ever. And so we made Sky Zephyrs because I needed it, and in turn the community needed it. So, you know, we've always said that was our love song to the TTRPG community. And, you know, we really hope that with version 2, people will love the product that we've got. You know, I'm sure down the line we will rewrite, make a version 3, or, you know, make a 1D&D version, or, you know, revamp it, like look at it again, see what we could change, see what we could make better down the line. But I'll tell you what, I'm excited to be done with it. It's been almost a full year. Like going into January, it will have been over a year for me in terms of writing. You know, and we finished writing version 2. We're now doing the final edits and layout of version 2 that we'll be releasing in early January, which is a little bit later than we were hoping to, but we've had some illness and various other little hiccups for the HATD team. But yeah, I'm ready to move on and bring something else to the table. And, you know, interestingly, my section of it will be more focused on video going forward and our video content. We have Emily, who will be stepping in with a lot of the writing stuff. She's an incredibly creative person who, you know, is coming up with a lot of the stuff herself, though I'm still kind of creatively leading the project and giving her guidance, because she's, you know, like me, new to writing D&D content and whatnot. So I'm excited to see what she brings to the table and what content she brings under kind of my guidance and what we can kind of bring to you guys, you know, with the Wandering Tavern setting that we're working on, which is for people who don't know, it's a giant floating airship setting that you can plug into your world, or it can be the entire world setting if you want, the entire setting itself. It's a TTRP, it's a setting that is aimed at D&D 5e, but really it's a TTRPG agnostic setting that can be plugged into any world, and that's a big part of what we were hoping for. You'll find a 14-layer battle map that gives you every floor of the Wandering Tavern, this giant city-like structure that exists. You've got every floor of that. You'll also be getting history and lore. You'll be getting the key locations, so breaking down all those battle maps and giving you information about all the key locations. You'll also be getting a huge, like probably 30, I think, NPCs that you can find in the Wandering Tavern or use for other things that you so please to, as well as a good chunk of magical items and some new airships and stations and parts to use in our shipbuilder application, as well as also just use in your own games. Some new airships for people to use. So we're super excited about that. Super. And it's a grungy Studio Ghibli style setting. That's what inspired us. That's where we've come. You know, imagine the DC of Studio Ghibli. You know, the Gotham of Studio Ghibli kind of vibe. So we're super excited about that. And we'd love people to, you know, follow the pre-launch page, but also in the same breath, like, just check it out, see if it's something you'd be interested in. It's almost like Howl's Moving Castle, but a giant floating airship that you can put in your world.
Yeah.
You know, we're super proud of that. So
it's the next, right?
Yeah, it's the next. So we finished the Kickstarter, and we have a big family incident happen. We have a big family incident that rocks the Homie and the Dude family massively. My partner, my fiance, first of all, I get engaged, which was a big one for us as a family.
In September, yeah.
Yeah, which these guys...
Everyone knew except you.
Everyone knew except for me. I got proposed to by my partner, which was amazing. And I felt it was the best day of my life, by far. 25 years, and that easily smashed every day out prior to that one. That was incredible. And then after that, we had a big family incident that happened that kind of shook Tom, me, Tracy, my partner, her family kind of to the core, and really fucked me up really bad for a couple of months. And then some illness hit me and some other bits and just dragged me really down into the dumps and put me in a really bad mental headspace. And really just hurt me as a person that I wasn't expecting, and kind of hit some mortality stuff for me, both with people around me and within myself. Made me feel a whole lot less invincible than I felt for a very long time in my life. And so we struggled through the end of September and through the end of October, through all of October, and through a good portion of November. We had a struggle. I think I wasn't as present. I wasn't as available to the team and to Homie and the Dude. I was, you know, obviously I was getting Sky Zephyrs done, and I was writing version 2 and, you know, ticking the boxes that I needed to tick, but I don't think I was mentally there for a good couple of months. I think I was just kind of doing what I needed to do to make sure that the wheel was turning you know, at a high quality. Don't get me wrong. I don't drop quality because I'm like that, but I just wasn't there mentally to give my emotions to anything that we were doing really at that point.
Yeah, it was, you know, it was tough, I think, all the way across the board, and give credit to Ben and Emily for, you know, kind of holding down the fort while
carrying the weight,
you know, grinding through the day to day. Emily doing a lot of the writing for the Wandering Tavern, Ben doing just about anything else.
All of the fulfillment, all of the fucking social media stuff for us at that point.
Yeah. So it was a good time for them to, you know, to do the heavy lifting for a while. Really appreciate that. And then we kind of transitioned, you know, along all the TTRPG stuff that's happening. We'll probably want to catch up maybe briefly on just what was going on with our MMA stuff as well along the way, because there's been some, you know, bits and pieces, ups and downs with that, de-emphasizing MMA stuff as we continue to progress and really kind of, what we like to say, sharpen our sword or sharpen our arrow. And MMA is now, I guess, one of the casualties.
One of the victims of our sword sharpening. Yeah, I would agree. Let's talk about that. So we started last year and we were doing post-fight interviews for Cage Warriors. Sorry, we started this year and we were doing post-fight interviews for Cage Warriors. We were doing our UFC live streams. We were doing podcasts with MMA fighters. You know, we were grafting to talk to more. We were almost trying to break into the media side of MMA a little bit more. And then as the year went on, we realized that if we really want to do TTRPG stuff, we just didn't have the time.
Yeah, so I think the first thing that went was probably podcasting.
Yeah, it was podcasts.
And then about halfway through the year, we had to make decisions about traveling 4 hours across England to do these post-fight interviews, which we love doing. Like, I mean, the travel sucks, but, you know, getting there and then actually
talking to the fighters, watching the fights, eating McDonald's
twice on the way there and the way back.
Always looking forward to McDonald's on those journeys.
So that it was very, very tough, and we had to circle back to that decision numerous times before we finally, I feel like we've now cut the cord. But it's like something that I know, you have things that you really love doing, and you just have to make decisions. And that was another, casualty to us trying to get this thing to work. And so it was that. It was the post-fight interviews. It was the podcast, and then we actually were mostly consistent with the pay-per-views, but we've missed a couple this year as well.
We've allowed ourselves to.
We've allowed ourselves to.
Yeah, because we've had family stuff going on. We've been not available. Both of us have been ill.
Yeah.
There's been one or two that we've done alone. One or two that we've done with just Ben.
Yeah.
One of us has done it with just Ben.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to continue doing pay-per-views.
Well, here's the thing with pay-per-views. We do it.
We're going to watch them anyway.
Exactly. And I think the other thing is like, that's a whole different audience than our TTRPG audience, but it is a distinct audience. It's not huge, but it's like, it is a bunch of people that like us and we like them, and we all hang out for like 6 or 7 hours. And it is truly like one of the times, if we're doing it every month, one of the times literally of very few that I can just unplug. I don't think about anything to do with the business side of Homie and the Dude. I'm just enjoying the fights. We're just shooting the shit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Watching some good fights. So
it's time for you and me. You and I. It's one of our hobbies that we love together. We love just hanging out and shooting the shit about it. We could do that all day, every day. We could talk about. You and I could talk about MMA fucking for hours.
We've been talking about it all morning.
Exactly. if we allowed ourselves to, we could talk about it for hours. And I think that we love doing that. And I think we watch pay-per-views anyway. It just makes sense for us to just press the stream button and hang out with a bunch more of you that want to watch MMA and talk shit with us. And I would say this, anyone who's watching this who doesn't watch MMA and, maybe isn't so sure or anything like that, come hang out. You'd be surprised how much fun it is. We just talk shit with everyone. Go find yourself a link to watch the fights on, illegal websites or through legal means, whatever you want to do. And then come hang out with us. Like, it truly is just like you're hanging out with your buddies, shooting the shit. We're talking crap the whole time. Usually we're maybe drinking, we're maybe smoking, we're eating good food. We're very much just hanging out like you and I do when we are one-on-one together. And we get that opportunity to just, like you said, unplug. I think for both of us, one of the things that we can't let go of it, as well as, in a weird way, it's forced unplugging at this point, because, we would unplug if we watched the pay-per-views, but I know if it wasn't on stream, you'd be looking at your phone at Discord and like worrying about TTRPG stuff. You'd be like, oh, I'm just going to do a bit of Reddit while we're watching this, kind of thing. And I would be like, oh, I'm responding to Nikki, or, like going and doing this and coming in and being like, oh, what happened? Coming in and out kind of thing. So I think it forces us to unplug, which is something that I think we need,
It's the irony of like, we started this business to hang out, and
unplug.
And unplug. And the busier and busier we've gotten, we've had less and less time to do that on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Like, we very rarely just like
shoot the shit.
Just shoot the shit, not have anything, no agendas to talk about, no work stuff, nothing.
Yeah.
And that's just one that, is built into the calendar. That's quite good, because if we didn't have it built into the calendar, I think it could potentially be like, dude, we haven't hung out for like months. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally. And there's definitely times where, like, because they're on Saturday nights as well. And, I'm 25. A lot of my friendship group are like, hey, it's Saturday. It's, so-and-so's birthday. Come out, come have some drinks, come do this, come watch this, come hang out, And oftentimes I will actually go out before the fight and then be like, right, guys, at 10 o'clock, I need to leave so I can go set up.
And I'll have to deal with that mess.
Yeah, and you deal with my drunk self often. But I think, as well as that, like, I think if we didn't have it in the calendar, I would just say, Tom, I'm not coming. Like, I'll catch up with you tomorrow about the fights, and I'm just gonna stay out tonight. Because that FOMO, that fear of missing out with my friends, probably would take over. And not all the time, but definitely in certain situations, it definitely would.
Yeah.
So we're just down to pay-per-views at this point.
Yeah.
We will continue to do our pay-per-views. We love doing our UFC fight nights. We will continue to do those. It's going to be Tom. It's going to be hard for Tom to do the first one next year when Colby Covington beats Leon Edwards this year. Not that we want him to, but I think that's the reason why Tom's going to struggle for the first bit of next year to come and do pay-per-views for a little bit.
Let's go, Leon. Let's go. Let's go.
Please,
Leon.
God, Leon. Yeah. Whenever this podcast is definitely going to come out after the fights, but let's fingers crossed Leon wins. But yeah, so we're looking forward to continuing those because, like we said, I think we both need it. I think we we need it. I think we need our pay-per-views, and
it's been fun having Ben come to a couple of them as well because Ben is very not. I guess he's a novice as far as he's learning more and more as we go for sure.
As they call it in the community, a casual. He's a casual.
But the community loves him because he just comes from such a different angle, and he's got a good sense of humor, and he's just talking his own version of shit as well. That's and then between the three of us as well, that's been fun as well. So when Ben can make it, that adds just a different dimension to it. Yeah,
exactly,
Super
which
cool.
is great. Yeah, shout out to Ben for coming and battling through UFC nights for us because they're not easy. That's the other thing. We've had
Ben already has told me he's bringing
energy
at least one monster for tomorrow night because he's Bodie and I do it pretty chemical. I don't do much caffeine these days, and whatever caffeine I do, I feel like I suffer.
Typically, we don't do any performance enhancing drugs for the fight. We don't do anything to stay up. We typically are actually inhibiting ourselves by smoking or having a drink or something. We typically inhibit ourselves actually, but we've been doing it since I was 14, 15. So we've been having practice at this.
What we mean by this is it goes live at
11:30 at night,
and then goes through to the wee or early hours of the morning. And oftentimes throughout the year, when the sun is coming up at 6 o'clock in the morning, we're still calling the main event at that point.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, right, guys, the main event's on, and it is daytime outside. We have been up all night. This is stupid. But yeah, we've got good practice at it. Ben's got a little bit more training to be done in terms of battling through those late
it's
ones.
It's like SAS practice, like being in the swamp. You know what I mean? The first 10 times you do it, it sucks, and then after that, you're just like, okay, fuck it. It's how I've been that cold before.
Yeah, I've been that tired.
I've got the straw. If I need to go underwater, I'll just breathe.
Yeah, exactly. You get to the 3 o'clock wall and you're like, okay, I know this wall, but cool. I'm gonna go splash some water on my face. I'm gonna go get a cup of tea. I'm gonna go get an extra glass of water, and I'm gonna fucking do a little bit of this. And I'm good to go.
Let's go. These last 5 fights.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll continue doing pay-per-views into 2024 for sure. And I think even if Homie and the Dude collapses at any point, I think, in a weird way, I would speculate we might still do pay-per-views. Actually, we might still stream pay-per-views just for shits and giggles because we love the group of people that we watch with.
Yeah,
they actually have great insight as well.
As much as we've tried to bring the two worlds together, I think they're about as apart as they've ever been now. And so if we did continue on with the UFC stuff, that group there's just not a lot of crossover between the two.
I fully agree.
As much as we tried.
As we tried, yeah. But I think that's also a benefit. We've got two audiences that are amazing. And I would love for more of the TTRPG people to come and try the MMA stuff. The MMA people are not going to come and try D&D stuff. That's just not really in the realm of reality, if we're being honest. No. MMA fans are very rarely. Now, I'm not saying it's a massive generalization to say they're not going to, but very rarely are the MMA fans people who want to come and play D&D or come and check out what TTRPGs are.
Yeah, unless it's B. Dave Walters.
Unless it's people like B. Dave Walters, it's people, like Jess and Keith.
Who else was there? We had someone else on a podcast recently that was really into...
Mildred.
Mildred?
Yeah, we had Mildred. We've had a couple of other people, and I think, there's crossover, but a lot of those people are TTRPG people who like MMA. Yeah. They're not MMA people who like TTRPG, which I think is the point that I'm making. I
think B. Dave's pretty up
on the line. Yeah,
up the middle.
That's fair. Yeah. I would agree with that. But yeah, so it'd be nice to see some of the TTRPG people just roll the dice and come watch the beautiful art of punching each other in the face.
Yeah, and that's just us.
Yeah, exactly. That's just the shit we're talking about. So we had this rough period through September, October, November. Takes us to kind of now. We finished version 2 of Sky Zephyr's writing. It's currently in editorial. It's going to be laid out very soon. We're hoping to begin onboarding of the shipbuilder application very, very soon. As we're talking about this, it might already be done when this podcast launches. We're hoping to get people in there so they can start building their own airships and their own vehicles very, very quickly. We're super, super excited about that as a whole, and just being able to do that as a whole. I think we're looking forward to just Sky Zephyrs being behind us a little bit to a certain degree. Obviously, you know, the shipbuilder is going to be one of our primary things that we will keep pushing forward, but the Sky Zephyrs, the book and PDF and all of that, a little bit behind us.
You know what kind of reminds me of?
Go on.
You know, like if we haven't done it, but like you see people like movie stars that are doing the interview circuit for a movie that's just coming out. What you don't really think about is that movie was shot probably a year ago.
Yeah, and they're
just like, look, dude, I don't want to talk about fucking Mission Impossible 4 anymore. I'm just on to like
I'm on to my next project.
I'm just on to my next project. I'm actually doing my next project, but like there's so it's not like you hate Mission Impossible 4. It's just like your headspace and your passion now is moving to other things, and that's kind of where we are with Sky Zephyrs. It's just like we've done it. We put all of our heart and soul into it. There's just these like, you know, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, you know, mopping the floor, and then you know, off it goes.
I agree. You know, we're chugging forward with The Wandering Tavern. That is looking like it's going to be written in early January and then edited and things like that in early January. We've got some great art for that already. The art is already starting to come together for that. We're super excited about how all of that's going. And it's been great to see Emily step into her own as a writer and, you know, confidently do some things, you know, and very confidently step into some of her own space, which I think has been great. Obviously, Ben is just a fucking powerhouse. He's continuing to be the backbone of Homie and the Dude, continuing to, you know, tick boxes all across the board. You know, we have some things that we want him to work on in the new year and grow into in the new year, and roles that we want him to kind of grow into. But I think, you know, shout out to Ben for just being a soldier this entire year, like just really like putting his head down and just being incredible, like truly like
behind the camera, in front of the camera, you know, behind the website, in front of the website, you know, social media, like
Discord. Like Ben is a vital part of the Homie and the Dude machine, and massive shout out to Ben. And it's been great to see Ben grow this year as a person as well. His emotional intelligence, his openness with us, his communication. It's been amazing to watch him grow as a person this year, and to see him not only progress within the company and within TTRPG and within, you know, his roles that he has within the company, but also just as a person. I think that's been one of my favorite things of the year, actually.
Oh, me too. And I think we've done a good job of putting guardrails up for Ben so he hasn't canceled us.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Ben's risky. Ben says some wild shit. Ben's humor is unapologetically Ben at all times, and that there's a good reason why we only have him for UFC events. You know, and that
may change as well. We might just have to pull the plug at any given time. We might be like, Ben, look, you know what? We're going to take it from here. Why don't you just tap out and you go sit on that couch and we'll just like give you the thumbs up.
But also, you know, shout out to Ben as well for something I wanted to give him credit for is his roles in front of the camera in our TTRPG space. The characters that he's played and the roles that he's taken on in terms of his acting in the TTRPG space has been awesome. It's been great to see Ben starting to flourish and find himself within that space as well. Yeah, it's just been really, really nice. It's been a rough year, man. I said this earlier this year. It's been the best and worst year of my life so far. You know, it's been the lowest of lows and the highest of highs, emotionally and physically, and Homie and the Dude wise, and societally. You know, all these kind of stuff. It's been a big up and down year for everyone.
Can I give another shout out?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, go for it. Yeah. Shout out to Tracy, who is behind the camera at the moment. She's watching her own thing at the moment. She's not even listening. There we go. Now she's tuned in. Shout out to Tracy, who's stepped up for Homie and the Dude massively. Go for it. My mom, your wife.
Yeah. Tracy is, you know, we oftentimes joke and say Tracy is the Homie and the Dude mom. And she is actually for Bodhi, but she also does mom things.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's always bringing treats in and things like that. But she's then stepped it up even more and just kind of does whatever we need. And a lot of it is like the unsung hero stuff that like everyone else is pretty much done, but like has moved into other things. So Tracy does a lot of the grassroots marketing stuff. She does a lot of the, you know, just the things that there's not a lot of glory behind it, but we need
engaging
it.
with our community and doing things like that. T's awesome. T is, you know, Emily says her favorite days are when Tracy's in the office.
Because Emily doesn't have to deal with 3 boys. Like.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, for me, it's been great having mum around because it's given me a chance. You know, you and I get so much time together because we work together. It's been great to have mum in the office and me and mum get to talk shit with each other and spend time with each other. The other day, we ended up fobbing off most of our work for the entire day and ended up just having a really open conversation with each other. And
you guys do that often, don't you?
And and having a really great day to talk. You know, so I think without Homie and the Dude, I think some of those opportunities wouldn't be there for me and mum at the moment. And I appreciate what T brings to the table more than anything as well. This stands above it all for me. Tracy's characters that she plays in our D&D and our TTRPG stuff are, in my opinion, some of the best characters out there. Tracy's level of investment in her characters, not the mechanics, never the mechanics, never the mechanics of the game and the mechanics of her characters, but always the investment in who the character is and being true to that character in the moment and being honest with what that character would do and how they would react and how they would think. I think that is one of my favorite things about what Tracy brings to the Homie and the Dude team. And I feel so fortunate that we get to have Tracy at our table. I know there's times where mum often goes, I'm not sure if I want to play this one. Oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to do this one. She eventually always does. But I think...
That's because you force her to.
I hand and foot force her. Yeah, no. I think... For me, that's one of my favorite things, is watching Tracy's growth and confidence grow outside of TTRPG stuff because of the stuff she does in TTRPGs. I think seeing Tracy as a person grow because of the battles that she has emotionally as her characters has been fucking such a blessing on my behalf. I've loved every moment of watching T do that and grow as a person, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. This year for Tracy has been a big one. It's been a hard year for Tracy. It's been a hard year for her emotionally, for her mental state, for your guys' relationship, for my relationship with mom and the lack of time that we've had together. And I think seeing T grow personally and take some big steps forward, especially in the latter half of this year, has been a massive pleasure on my behalf. And I've loved every moment of watching you do that, T. Talking to Tracy behind the camera right now. It's been massively important for me and massively just glad to have you in the office and glad to have fucking food at lunch. Dear fucking God. It's been great to be able to actually eat something at lunch because Tracy brings food for me. Fucking hell. I don't eat things very often at lunch and I do when T brings me food. So dear God.
And I also think just for, I'm not sure how you got here, Trace, but it feels like the last few weeks and months you're finding your mojo in a way that maybe you hadn't had for a while, and it's awesome to see. You're slotting in again, and
being more of herself again, which
sure.
I think T hasn't been for a couple years prior to this year, which I think has been great.
Yeah.
That kind of leads us to the end of 2023. Like I said, best and worst fucking year ever. I wrote my first book. We did our first Kickstarter. We continue to do the Sky Realm. We've made some incredible video series. Made some really shitty video podcasts with people. We've had some terrible podcasts. We've had a lot of laughs. We've had a lot of arguments.
Yeah.
We've
less
than ever before. Less than ever before in our lives, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
But also
we had some just blow up, some explosions the first couple years.
Yeah, of Homie and the Dude,
Yeah.
and this one's been
less. I mean, there's still stuff.
April was rough this year. April wasn't
Great.
April wasn't great for you and me, but you know and I think that's.
But we're in December, and we haven't, like, I can't remember, like, you know, we've had a couple things that we've annoyed each other with, and we've, you know, not been at our best, you know, stepping to the table to work for that day and stuff like that. That happens, but like I feel like we're hitting our groove as well.
I agree. I fully agree, which I think is, and overall, I think, you know, going into next year, let's quickly do. By the way, this is a perfect segue moment to talk about what we're about to talk about, which I think is great. This is a good moment to kind of round out this conversation about 2023. We've hit about an hour in this as well. Going forward in 2024, we are hoping to do the Wandering Tavern Kickstarter. We're hoping to bring a couple more Kickstarters throughout the year of some other content that we're super excited about that I won't divulge at the moment, but we're super excited about. There might be a sci-fi setting in there. There might be a Mad Max setting in there. There might be some other stuff in there.
One never knows.
Who knows? And as well as that, we are going to be launching a new a new actual play series that was selected by our Discord, by our amazing audience. We will be running a brand new series that will follow 4 separate D&D characters, or 4 separate TTRPG characters in a brand new world that I'm going to build and create. And we'll be doing one-on-one sessions where we will then release all 4 episodes of each character's one-on-one session for that month. And you, as the audience, can watch either one person's story, 2 people's story, all 4 stories, and get to see all these separate characters who are in the same world as they slowly make their way through almost like a D&D party prologue to then finally meeting each other at the end of the series. It's kind of what we're leading towards.
That's actually cool. Like, I didn't realize, is the end of the series where they meet in the tavern? Do you know, like, how every D&D session...
Well, it's not in a tavern. The ending's not going to be in a tavern.
But here's what I would say.
It will be something like that.
The irony would be kind of, like, I know, it doesn't have to, but that's, you know, every session or every campaign starts in a tavern.
Yeah.
This one ends with, like, hey, so... what are you doing here?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to have throughout the series, though we'll have 4 separate characters and 4 separate plot lines running simultaneously in the same world with 4 different characters, I'm going to have moments where you cross each other's paths. Little moments where you cross each other's paths and then move on from each other. So we will have, you know, a couple of sessions which will be 2 players with me or 3 players with me, and then back to one-on-one D&D at certain points. So that's kind of, and by the way, with that being said, I'm not sure whether it's going to be D&D. I'm not sure whether it's going to be D&D. We're debating whether we are going to do D&D mashed with a magic system that I've been working on, or whether we are going to go a alteration of Orbital Blues, which, if you haven't heard of that, go check out the Orbital Blues system. It's fucking amazing. It's, in my opinion, the best TTRPG system out there at the moment. We'll be doing a version of that, again, with my magic system, added on to Orbital Blues, and doing a fantasy setting for that as opposed to a sci-fi setting for that. So that's the path for video stuff. We are going to be doing Kickstarters, and on top of that, we're going to be doing a lot of workshops. We just ran our first D&D workshop in our Discord for people. We'll be doing a lot more of these workshops throughout the next year. We're thinking of maybe doing one every month or every 2 months or so, basically. And we just want to we want to do stuff for you guys. That's why we asked you what you wanted the next video content to be. You know, we're definitely, after the Wandering Tavern, going to put it to you guys what the next Kickstarter you want us to do is. You know, and we want it to be that we're creating stuff for our community. So we're really working for you guys now. We realized that we weren't doing that for the first 2 years of Homie and the Dude, and this 3rd year has really taught us how we are going to work for our community and how we want to do this more for you guys, and less what we think is good and more what you guys want, basically. So yeah, so the next year, 2024 of Homie and the Dude, is for the community.
It is.
It's for the familia.
I love that. That should be our logo.
Yeah, 2024 of Homie and the Dude, and hopefully going forward for the rest of time, is going to be for the familia, for you guys. you know, we want to create things that you guys want, that you guys are going to be just as proud of as we are proud of, and something that you guys love just as much as we love creating for you guys. So that's the plan for 2024. Cool. Now we're going to move on to the next section of our podcast. So this next part of our podcast is going to be something a little bit different. It's something that I know Tom is going to struggle with a little bit more than me. I know it's something that I've had a lot of practice at, and you've had a little bit less practice at.
Yeah.
What we're going to be doing is trying to have an open, vulnerable conversation as two men in front of a camera. It's something that I think a lot of guys really, really struggle with, and it's something that is super important. I think if more men had open conversations about what we're about to talk about, I think the world would be a much safer, a much happier, a much better place. Kinder, yeah. And so the way we're going to do this is we are going to do two different things. So the first one is we are going to take it in turns. So we're going to take it in turns to do this. And we're going to first express the things about the other person that we really love, that we really appreciate, that we really value, and the things that about them that are really positive for us looking at them, basically, and appreciating them. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to discuss one thing that we think the other person needs to work on in 2024. One thing that coming into the next year we need to improve on most, or something that we need to work on going forward, and something that we could do to improve as people. It's probably going to get pretty real, guys. It's probably going to get emotional. And we'd love you guys to stick around and listen to this part, because we feel like these kinds of conversations are super important to be had. If you are a guy out there listening, I recommend checking out, by the way, our inspiration for this is the Man Enough podcast. Checking them out. I recommend as well sitting down with a guy that you love, or another man that you love, and expressing this stuff. You won't know how much value it brings to your life and to their lives until you've done it. But I think it's going to be super valuable. Right. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first? Because do you want to follow me, or do you want to start? Because I know that.
Here's the thing.
Do you want me to lead, or do you want to fucking?
No, I hear you.
Get it over and done with. What's
it's not that. No, it's not that. I think let me lead, because I may also want to like mop up as well. There might be some stuff that I want to like add in at the end.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
hopefully is part of the, like, is allowed.
Cool. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Cool. Go for it. Get started.
Okay. So the things that I love about you are I've just really enjoyed watching your journey, your development over the last probably over the last 4 or 5 years. It feels like it's really noticeable, your development from an adolescent into a man, and so as part of that, the qualities that you're bringing in are really admirable. I love how available you are to your emotions. That's something that, as you mentioned, I'm not as willing to go there as you are. It's just easier for you, whether you're talking to Nikki, whether you're talking to my mom, whether you're talking to my mom, whether you're talking to your future in-laws, your friends. And you just had an example like 2 days ago where you had to just have a really real conversation with a couple different friends of yours that are struggling right now, and you're the person in many people's lives that is the emotional, like, safe space for people to like to explore that area, which they need to sometimes. And I think you're really good at it. I think you're super developed in emotional intelligence. You have been your entire life. You have been since you were a kid, and then all the way through, you were just way ahead of the let's say the charts or whatever, as far as understanding levels of emotion, let alone like this is not necessarily just man stuff, but just like just being able to navigate that area in a way that is really healthy. And I am trying to learn how to do that better. And so I really look at that as one of the things that I love about you. I think recently I've loved seeing you become passionate about an area of your life. And, you know, there was an element of passion in several things you had done previous, you know, whether it was different sports or skateboarding for a while or, you know, those types of things. But seeing you really dive into the space that we're trying to grow, this TTRPG space, and just finding something that just connected with you on a level that, you know, it's almost unspoken. It's like you could understand it in a way, and it was right for you. And watching you commit to all the things that need to happen with, you know, being consistent and trying to get better at whether it's DMing or understanding the rule set or understanding, wow, could we actually do a book and what would that look like? And being open to that whole process of, you know, a couple steps forward, a couple steps backward, and really experiencing that maybe fully for the first time and seeing you develop your foundation of consistency, work ethic, passion, navigating those days of I don't feel like doing this today, but just like sitting down and being like, all right, let me make a hot drink and where am I? You know, and getting through 4 or 5 hours of like, all right, that's another day, you know, behind me, and we're now that much more forward. I just think, you know, that really resonates for me because it's the one thing that is like, I guess maybe one of the things that I have in the past valued a lot. And so that's another thing. I think I really love that you're willing to do this with me. Yeah, I feel super, super grateful that you're 25, soon to be 26, soon to be married. I have no business being this much involved in like your day-to-day life and your like parts of your dreams and parts of your, you know, of course, dads and sons have interests together and have common ground and have stuff that they enjoy doing together, but this is just fucking silly. I literally couldn't be paid to do anything else in my life. This is it. Like this was all I could ever want. As far as like a career, it's I think what most dads would really, really, really want, and I have it, and I've had it for years. And however long it lasts is not as important maybe as how awesome it's been up till now, and it just keeps getting better. And you know, there's ups and downs, and there's all sorts, but it is. We just have this thing that's very, very special to me, and you have allowed that to happen because you could easily have said, you could have easily just made a decision otherwise, which most 20-somethings will do, and I did in my life, and you've chosen not to, and you've done that with me. I feel like not only are you a great son to me, it feels like you're generally a great son. You're balancing out being a great fiance, being a great grandson, being a great future son-in-law, being a great friend. Like I know it's hard sometimes, and I know all of that stuff is pulling you in many different ways, but I can see how important that is to you. I can really see that is like fundamentally important to you.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that because underneath it all, that means you care deeply about the people around you. And that's not just words, but in actions, you make yourself available to, your grandmoms who have probably no right to see you as much as they do or to have conversations with you as much as they do, because most 25-year-olds do the basic minimum. And you don't. You're aware of where you're needed most, and you'll step into that void, whoever it is, you'll step into that void, including people on our team, people on the street, or people that are close to you. And I greatly admire that as well. And I acknowledge that's not something that I can even relate to very well sometimes. I'm mostly self-absorbed as a person, and I really appreciate it. I think I'm gonna hit pause there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you for all that. I appreciate everything you said. I feel like I've done a lot of work on myself. Like you said, the last 4 or 5 years have been really hard for me. They've been hard because I've made them hard for myself. I've not allowed myself to coast. I've not allowed myself to just be who I am. I've forced myself to look at to self-reflect, to grow, and to try and be better for everyone around me. And you're right, dude. Like I'm never gonna be great at anything, realistically. I'm 25. I've greatness starts when you're a child. I will be very good at something, but I'll never be great. And I think the thing that I am great at, though, that I have been doing since I was a child, is doing what you said, which is valuing the people around me and valuing the stuff around me. And I feel like I'm very proud of myself in a lot of areas that you mentioned. I think a couple years ago, if we'd had this conversation and you'd said those things to me, I think I would have been a lot more dismissive of a lot of what you just said. I feel like I'm very lucky at this point in my life where I'm able to acknowledge some of that stuff and be open with myself and hear you and in some ways agree with a lot of what you just said and be thankful that I've done the work to be that person that is available for everyone around me and a lot of different things. And I think yeah, I appreciate you saying all that stuff because it's stuff that I feel like I'm working on or I feel like I'm doing. And interestingly, it's not often I have someone tell me that I'm good at that stuff. It's not often I have people kind of acknowledge that. I have, friends thank me for the help. I have my, Nikki thank me for being there for her and supporting her. I have you and Mum thank me for having hard and honest conversations with you guys. But it's very rare that someone tells me that I'm good at it and that they appreciate it and that it means something to them just as much as me doing it means something to me in a very strange way. So no, I super appreciate everything you just said. Means a lot. And I'm going to touch on the you and me doing stuff together a bit because I think that's something that I wanted to talk about and the bits that I appreciate about you. What's one thing that I need to work on for 2024? What's something that when you look at me at this point, you just named a lot of nice things. What's something that I'm needing to work on in 2024? What's something that from your perspective and an outside third person perspective when I'm not in my head and I can't work things out, what do I need to work on at the moment? Because
Yeah.
I'm always looking for the next thing at the moment.
I'm coming at this in two different ways. One, I'm trying to be as personal as possible to what I see that I think would benefit you in your your
progression,
future.
my life progression.
But also the second is what I have learned in my life that has been important. That I think. By the way, I don't think either of these is like a dramatic like, oh, you need to fucking fix this. But like, I think I'd offer both of these to you to consider. So the first is, I'll talk about the one that has been very important in my life.
Go for it.
And I learned it late, but I learned it, which is to have some mechanism to get honest third-party perspective on who I am that calls me on my bullshit. And I had to do it through meditation, and that way, that was me stepping outside of myself and seeing myself in an honest way. There's many different ways to do that, whether it's having a really good friend that doesn't, at all doesn't hold back, or all the different ways of people having self-help things or whatever. But I think really, as you continue to grow older, for instance, if Homie and the Dude blows up and becomes hugely successful, I would venture a guess that we probably have to monitor, being too cocky, too overconfident, maybe, perhaps, even though we've come through what we've come through. But these types of things where you just sway off the path a little bit, you're not aware of it. You just feel like, and then at some point down the road, you're just like, holy fuck, who have I been for X amount of time? And I think that X amount of time ideally should be as small a period of time as possible.
Oh, yeah.
So that's figuring out how am I going to get that regularly is something that I would invite you to think about. What's the mechanism to do that, and just have it in play for you. The second thing, I think this is more.
Why are we doing this podcast?
Yeah.
Third-party feedback.
Yes. Yeah.
Should do it more frequently than once a year, but do you know what I mean? Like it's one of the good places for that.
Did you just say we're going to now do it every year?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Yeah, 100%.
Second thing is, I'm not sure how surprising this is or isn't to you, but a lot of our community knows your health history, and it hasn't been. You've had some real challenges, both physically and emotionally, right? And I think the thing that I think would be important for you to work on is improving whatever that means, both physically and emotionally, through a regimen, something that is now something that you're like, okay, I didn't need to worry about that when I was 15. Didn't need to worry about that when I was 22, but I'm fucking 25. I need to take care of my health. I need to give my body the best chance it can to fight off whatever the fuck may or may not come. But I want to give my body the best chance to do that. I owe it to myself, more than anything, to give it a fighting chance. And also, emotionally, I'm not sure what. To me, I think it's more around your body.
Physical.
Yeah. And, behind, like, underneath it all, for both me and Mom, I'll speak for Mom right now, we're always concerned about your physical health, man. It's just there all the time. It's, we are super grateful that it's been not an issue recently, but it's always a concern. And I think you fortifying your foundation so that it will fight off whatever fucking comes over the wall the best way possible, to enjoy however much time we have, is, at 56, that's a big part of my life, is to try to keep it together so that my body and mind, so that I can enjoy as much of this as I can with you and everyone else that I love, to lengthen the show as much as possible.
Yeah. Address your first point first. I think I feel fortunate because I surround myself with good people. I choose good people. I feel fortunate that I get to have these conversations with you, and it's very rare that you don't give me an honest answer, especially when I talk to Mum. And we've been doing this since way before you sorted your shit. Me and Mum have been having super honest, open conversations for a very long time in our lives, and I value those every time we do, and they always make me better every time I do. I think Nikki could get better at it. I think I need better answers from her because she doesn't want to hurt me, but she does. She's honest with me a lot of the time. I think my closest friends often will cut through the bullshit and give me the truth. especially when I ask for it. I agree that there needs to be something that is not other people, me relying on someone else to give me the answer of what I'm struggling with or what I'm not doing well. I think, meditation is a good example, but I don't think it works for me so good as it does for you. I think therapy is probably the avenue that has and will work best for me. Again, me relying on another person, that's hilarious. I just said I shouldn't do that. But
I mean, it's kind of hybrid, though, isn't it?
yeah, it's different. It's
It's a
different.
vehicle to
Yeah,
get you to process things
yeah,
better.
totally. And I think with the therapy stuff is at the moment, and this kind of then relates to your second point is, I battled a lot of my problems with you when I did therapy when I was younger. I battled a lot of my problems with my sexuality in therapy when I was younger. I battled a lot of problems with my mental health and things like that when I was younger. And I think at this point, I need some help with my mental health surrounding my health, my physical health stuff. I think I need some help with my addiction stuff. Um, I think I need some help with growing up and what's ahead of me in terms of the next let's take the next 20 years. The next 20 years is going to be rough. Both of my grandparents will die. um I will get married in that time, and I'm not sure whether they'll be there for that. um you and mum, if we're lucky, will still be here at 77. I'm fucking fingers crossed, but who knows. um Realistically, Nikki's parents, Julie and Boyd, who I love very much, I'm not sure whether they're going to be here. Um, I think accepting that I need to chase things that I still want to do, of like I still want to go traveling again for like a long period of time. I want to go and do a period of traveling. And knowing that I'm going to be away from you guys and my friends. Um, I think I just need some help from someone to get me through the next couple of years, because I don't think I've got it on my own. Um, and I'm really good at communicating that, but I'm not good at putting it into practice, which is why I'm not in therapy at the moment. I think I'm scared. Um, I think I'm worried. Um, I'm afraid for my own health. I'm afraid for, possibly whether I'm going to be here in the next 20 years, which sounds crazy. For people listening, I'm 25, but I have a lot of health problems. Um, and I've not done what Tom just said I need to work on, which is, you're so right. It's the second point that you made is so unbelievably right. It's one of the things I struggle with most, because I balance so much of my time supporting everyone else and trying to cater to my mental health and trying to chase a dream, trying to be the best fiance, husband, partner to Nikki I feasibly can be, being the best son to you guys, being the best son-in-law, being there for my friends who are struggling. Like, and I think because of all of that, because I'm spreading myself really thin, I don't take care of my health as much as I should, and I don't set aside time on a daily or weekly basis to take care of that. I eat pretty healthy, but if I'm honest, I can sort that out a little bit as well. Just one too many fucking ooeyes all the time.
And let's not talk about next week.
Let's not talk about the amount of shit food we're gonna eat next week for sure. And then Christmas as well. But I need to work on that. I need to work on putting time aside to, at one point in my life, I was an athlete. And I think I'm living in my own shadow a little bit about that. At one point, I could just run and never stop. I could climb anything. My strength to weight ratio was off the charts. I was healthier. I was a lot healthier. And I think because I'm trying to be so good in so many areas of my life, I'm letting myself down in that one area. And I hear you. It's the thing. And you talk about me having improved with work ethic and things like that, but I would speculate, I have in areas, but not across the board. Because I don't exercise regularly enough. I don't challenge myself physically enough anymore. I skateboard for 4 to 6 hours once every couple of weeks and really push my cardio and really push myself during those moments, but I don't do much more than that. I think I'm embarrassed. I think knowing how far I've fallen since COVID in my health, my health's always been bad, but it's often been stuff I didn't have control of. The illness and things I've had recently are things I've had control of. And I think I'm embarrassed, really embarrassed, that at one point I was an athlete and that now I'm not even close. I can barely run around College Green, which for people is a little park around the corner from us that is probably about 900 meters a lap, maybe less. And I can do about 3 laps of that, and then I'm vomiting. I'm hitting my absolute cardiovascular max at the moment. I'm embarrassed. I'm really ashamed that I've let it get this far. I appreciate you telling me that because I think I've been dodging it with our wellness meeting. and hearing, I think I've been dodging hearing you tell me that. And I know, I kind of knew that you were going to be the person to tell me that because I think Mum struggles with her health stuff. And I don't think T would ever want to say anything to me about that. I know Nikki is battling something similar, which is why she's, running so much at the moment. And she's in her own battle and can't often worry about where I am health-wise. I don't think my friends care. I don't think my friends fucking care enough to be worried about where I am health-wise. I think they tell me to, don't smoke as much, don't do this, don't do that,
Which, by the way, like, in some ways, you're making large steps forward. Like, smoking, whether it's cigarettes or anything else, has reduced greatly.
Yeah.
You're not a big drinker. You're not like, there's not like a lot of like,
poisoning
currently,
the
like
system.
today, there's not a lot of like bad shit that's being introduced into the system regularly.
Yeah. Saying that with me holding a fucking vape in my hand as we're talking, because I'm battling addiction hard at the moment.
But you're kind of winning right now.
Yeah, last night was not an easy one for me. But yeah, I hear you. I'm gonna work on it. 2024 will be the year of resurgence for me. I'd love to be able to fucking run a mile. Just one would be nice to start off with. I'd like to then, push for more, but I'd like to be able to trek up Snowdon like I did before COVID and be able to do that because my body is able to, and you know,
It's not just youth.
yeah, it's not just youth, just be able to because I've given myself the opportunity to do that, you know. So yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Fuck. Son of a bitch. Should not have done this podcast.
I knew I was going to get this talk with you, whether it was that wellness meeting or...
Yeah. No, I needed to hear that, and I need.
To be fair, I didn't, like, I've been thinking about what to, and I don't know how much you've been thinking about it, or you were just like, I've known that I needed to talk to my dad about this. But to me, it was unclear up until, like, still wasn't sure what it was going to be, but I feel like you said what's the most important thing to me. That's the most important thing.
Okay. I hear you guys. I'll work on it. 100%. I'll try and get better. I've started making steps. I've cut down on my smoking of cannabis. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I drink very few times. I'm trying to eat more regularly and more healthily throughout the day. I will try and book something in on a, probably starting off on a one day a week basis, and then and then build up from there, because you can't start at the top.
No, you can't. And you know, it does build. Like you have now, this is not like you being like, oh, well, does it? I'm not sure if it does. Like, you have practical experience on how this shit works, and you know that if you do it, and you're gonna have setbacks, but if you mostly do it slowly but surely, you look back a month, 3 months, 6 months, you're like, holy fuck, like, I have something that I did not have before.
Yeah, 100%. Fuck. Yeah. Okay. I accept that.
Are we done?
No. My turn.
Fuck's sake.
Also, you can unpause your other shit at any point if you want to. Feel free to unpause at any point. Okay. Stuff that I appreciate about you, and this is going to be hard. I haven't thought about it at all, actually. I lied to you the other night when I said to you I knew what I was going to say during this podcast. Lied to you because I wanted to make you feel better about it.
Yeah, made me feel worse.
Good. Good. No, I wanted to just be honest with you in the moment and talk from the heart, because I feel like if I'd planned something, I would have missed things. I would have been too focused on trying to hit bullet points. So, let's get started. So, I appreciate how much you have grown as a person since you started meditating. I hated you for a long period of my life. I hated you. It wasn't a dislike for you. It wasn't a I don't want to spend time with you. It wasn't like we had a rough relationship. It was I hated you for such a long period of my life. And the pressure that you put on me made me quit things that I loved. And when you started meditating, the person you instantly became has been enough for me since the first time you walked in home after your first Vipassana. You stepped up to the plate at that moment as a father and as a husband. You're still working on it because you've only had 6-7 years of practice, which is not enough to be a pro or semi-professional or anything like that, but you have put in work every single day. Every single day you've strived to be better and strived to be a better father to me and a better husband to Mum, which I value almost as much as you being a dad to me. So I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of the work that you put in constantly to be better in yourself. I think there will never be enough words, and I'll try my best, for the things that you have taught me in my life that have led me to be able to be all the stuff that you said you're proud of, the pressure you put on me before I didn't hate you allowed me to be myself at some point. The information, things like, and you just said it then, you just reiterated something that you've done my entire life that has made me more powerful than so many people I know in my life, which is that nothing comes fucking easy, Bodhi. You're gonna have to work for things, and you're gonna have to start with step one, and you're gonna have to just take one step in front of the other until you get to the thing that you want. And I think for years, I didn't get it. I didn't understand what it was gonna do for me. I didn't understand what you were saying to me, and I didn't get it. And then when I had cancer, it allowed me to appreciate so much of what you've taught me. And the only reason I am who I am today is because of you. Like, through and through. Like, Tracy is my whimsy. Tracy is my fun. Tracy is my happiness and chasing joy in life. Tracy is my extrovert, and Tracy is my fucking wanting to be there for every single person around me at all times. The reason I have been able to succeed at all of that side of me is because of the work I've done personally, and that comes from everything that you gave me. My drive, my passion, my anger, my fire, my acceptance of who I am, my desire, my love, all of that comes from you. Every single piece of that throughout the last 25 years, I've been able to be the version of mum that I needed to be, is because you allowed me to see how you did it, and see and teach me all these steps, and teach me how to be a man, and teach me how to be a man that respects women, and a man that respects myself, and a man that respects other men, and a man that wants to be great at all moments. A man that is stoic and can handle the worst, but also not be afraid of the worst, to live in it, to grow in it, and to be better because of it. You taught me to not be afraid of failure, and that's one of the biggest ones. I'm so proud of that tool that I have in my toolbox. I've watched you fail 100 times. I've watched you fail a lot in our lives together, and I've watched you come through those failures and always be better, and always succeed in ways that I think you don't acknowledge. And I've seen you teach me stuff that other people don't even have access to. Nikki talks about it all the time, of how lucky she is that I've been able to help her learn a fraction of what you've taught me in my life, and how much it's helped her. So not only are you helping me, but by helping me, you're helping everyone around me, because I'm able to pass that on to them. And I'm able to help my friends because of the tools you gave me to help myself as a young man, and to believe in myself. You taught me all of that. Every moment of that, you taught me. You sat down and said the words to me. You showed me through examples. You didn't just give me the words, you did it through action. Especially in the last 7 years, you did it through action. I appreciate every hard moment that we've gone through just as much as I appreciate every moment that we've laughed and had a good time. Without you, there's no Homie and the Dude. Both metaphorically and literally. I could never have done this on my own. We talked about this the other day. I didn't have the financial side to do it. You have given me the money to be able to do this. You have given me the space to live in, the home that I live in. so that I can chase my dream. You've given me the business acumen, the understanding of how to work with people, the understanding of how to, not how to engage with employees, but you've given me the understanding of how to run a business. I said this in the car to you the other day. I don't think I would have worked it out, but I couldn't have done 90% of the business stuff that we do at Homie and the Dude without you. I am the creative drive. I am the creative director. I am the creativity. Excuse me. And you are the backbone that allows me to be creative. You're the pillar that I stand upon that allows me to shout my words to the world. And I think you've always been that for me. Whether it was karate when I was battling my own demons as a child because I was being bullied. Whether it was when I came out and battling my self-harm. Whether it was being a basketball player. Whether it was going to college and being an actor. Whether it was not going to university and going traveling instead. You have always been the pillar underneath me, the foundation that I've had to know that I can leap. Without you, there is no me. Metaphorically and literally. There is no boyfriend or husband or partner to Nikki that would have helped her grow. There's no me that would have been there for Ryan and Jacob and all my other friends that I'm there for. There wouldn't have been a me that could help Mum through the times that she's needed help through and been able to do that without you being a foundation, allowing me to step off and jump and leap and try things. So what I appreciate, dude, about you is that you are my biggest supporter, my biggest fucking influence and inspiration, and you are my best fucking friend in the whole world. In the whole world. Like, and I'm so lucky that we worked that out because for such a long time we just weren't working that out. We just didn't know how to do it. So as a response to you're lucky that we're doing this together. No, I'm fucking lucky that I have a dad that doesn't care about their own shit, that isn't worried about chasing their own dream, that isn't worried about making enough money to support us, that isn't worried about all the other things that dads seem to be worried about, the football on Saturday. You're worried about making sure that I'm successful, that I'm happy, that I achieve what I can achieve and that I deserve to achieve. So I'm just thankful that you've always been there. Even when I hated you, you've always been there for me. And when you do eventually die, and when you aren't here, it's gonna be the hardest day of my life. And I don't know what I'm gonna do after that. But I know that you will have been preparing me for that my entire life. And that you've been working to get me to a point where I can tackle everything on my own. But I'm scared. And I just appreciate every moment that we've had together. Every day that you come here at Homie and the Dude, you sit with me, means infinite to me. There's no words that I can describe how much it means. I can't tell you how much the time you and I get together, every conversation about MMA, every stupid meme that we send each other, every moment where we sit and talk, share a chicken wing together, sit in the car and drive somewhere and just have a chance to be one-on-one. It's the greatest blessing of every moment of my life, and I'm so thankful to you as well. I hope you know that You know, I'm saying a lot of this, Tom. I'd love to have this kind of conversation with you because a lot of what I feel is very similar to you, but different because it's very different stuff. And without you guys, I don't know who I am, really. I think you guys are such a big part of my life, and every moment that we all spend together as a family is my favorite moment. And every time we do it, it beats the last one. This is why I'm so excited for Christmas this year. I fucking hate Christmas, fuck religion, fuck presents, fuck capitalism. But I'm so excited to just be with you guys for 3 fucking days and almost be like we're living together again like I was when I was a kid. I said to Tom the other day, Mum, in the car, when I think about my life and I look at what is my bliss, what is my moment of pure happiness, and it's us 3 in Castel del Ferro in Spain, for everyone listening. It's a small little town in Spain, and we lived in the hood. We lived in the absolute fucking hood. Our house was a piece of shit. We had nothing. We didn't have a TV. We didn't have anything. But we had each other. And my absolute bliss is on a Friday, no, more a Saturday, realistically, because I had school. On a Saturday, when we would take a nap, all of us together, you guys either side of me, and our cat and dog in bed with us. That's true happiness. And that's what I'll remember for the rest of my life. Nothing gets better than that. So, for me, dude, the things I appreciate is that without you, there is no me. And I've learned from every mistake you've made. I've learned from every conversation we've had. And I've grown because of all of that. I am the person that is sat across from you because of the work that you have put into me. It's not because of the work I've put into myself. It's because of the work that you have invested in me throughout my entire life. So that is the stuff that I appreciate about you. That is the stuff that I'm so thankful for, that every moment and every day I appreciate infinitely.
Thanks.
Of course.
I think I haven't thought about this for a long time, but I think me and Mom just made a decision. It wasn't even like a conversation. That none of the other stuff really matters. It just doesn't, you know, we got enough money to get by. And more than a lot of people, but not as much as a lot of people. We got enough stuff to get by. I just don't care about the other stuff. It's always been, it just always has been.
Us
You?
three.
Yeah. And we made the right choice. We made the right choice.
Tracy's nodding behind camera. Yeah, and I feel that. And I know so many of my friends, their parents did not make that choice. And I know that's why they struggle in those moments, and I know that's why I struggle less. And I know that. I appreciate that. I know
Thanks.
that very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Of course, dude. Of course, and I like, it's been a wild journey. It's been a wild journey to get to this moment. We've had serious downs and also the greatest highs. The greatest fucking highs along the way as well.
Yeah.
And there's going to be so many more. Yes, go on, T. T wants to say something. Yeah, go for it. I'll relay it to people. Yeah. Tracy said that if I wanted the truth, I could always come to them, and that I had to trust that and believe that through and through. I was ready to ask the question. they would give me the answer. And that's it. That's just it. I think I've been very lucky. I'm very fortunate. A lot of my friends do not get what I've got from their parents, and I'm very fortunate to be able to have what I have. Okay, now the fun bit, the real fun bit. Now this is the fun bit.
This is not the fun bit. No, good.
This is going to be, I'm going to do what I do with all my friends and all the people in my life. I'm going to be real brutally honest with you. Like you just said, when you ask the question, be ready to hear the answer. The one thing I think you need to improve on most at the moment, Tom, and going into 2024, is you have some demons that you have not addressed for your entire life. I'll do this in two parts. I'll do like you did. I'll do the life stuff and then I'll do personal. I'll do personal first and then we'll do life stuff. Personal, you have not fought the demons of your brother's death, and you carry those with you every day. And I see you afraid to address those thoughts and feelings that you have. You carry very similar demons about your father and your relationship with your dad, which is why you've been such an amazing dad to me, and why you didn't want to experience what you experienced with your dad. You carry demons about your failures throughout your life and things that you believe you could have been more successful at. And though you are the best person at moving forward, you are exceptional at moving forward, you don't address some of the things that you move forward from. And because of that, whether you know that or not, they have stayed with you your entire life. And they continue to haunt you to this day. They're doing it right now while I'm sat here in front of you. And they'll do it tomorrow, and they'll do it the next day. You need to go to therapy. And it's not a case of anything more than just you need to talk to someone about this stuff. It's a case of you need to let yourself feel about them, because you don't. You need to go to a space where you feel safe enough to address those feelings. And I know for you, you've thought that's meditation for a long time. And I think Tracy and I thought it was going to be, but it's not. Meditation has allowed you to work on the stuff that you have needed to work on for others. You have not allowed yourself to work on the stuff you need to work on for yourself. And so in 2024, the thing that I want you to work on, the one thing that you need to work on, is addressing your demons, acknowledging those demons, feeling those demons, fighting them, and then allowing yourself to move on. So, as you come into the new year, I think therapy is a great way to do so. I think there's definitely other methods. Strong psychedelic trips, things like that are ones, there's many other methods that can get you there. But I think you're 57. You're almost 60. You're in the last quarter, my guy. You're in the last quarter. This is it. You've put up a good first 3 quarters. God damn. Got a good couple of technical fouls throughout the first 3 quarters. But you're not happy. Truly, when it comes down to it, you are content to let the rest of your days be the way they are. But you are not happy. You are not truly Tom. And I know your mother says it, all of your friends say it, that when your brother died, you stopped being Tom. And I think since then you've formulated a new version of Tom that you thought could be enough. And I don't think that you deserve to go through the last quarter being the level of content that you are. I think you deserve an amazing end to your life, an incredible end to an incredible life. But if you don't address those things, you will have an above average end to an incredible life. You will be content. You will be happy in your marriage. Well, content. You will be content with how you were as a father. You will be content with your achievements. But you will never truly be Tom and be happy. And I think now is the moment for you to just go, enough is enough. And forgive yourself for a lot of that shit. Because you've tried to move on, and here you are being afraid to have a podcast with me and freaking out about it. But that's because those demons are still on your shoulders. You weren't afraid today because you don't know how to express yourself to me. You weren't afraid because you had to reach emotional levels. We do this all the time with each other. You were afraid because you have to sit and be accountable on a camera to something that you probably knew I was going to tell you and knew has been in there for a very long time. I want you to know that when you're ready to take that step, I'm here for you. I will support you in every single way that I can. If that means you coming and talking to me, celebrating your macaroni drawings of you progressing with this stuff, and me putting them up on the fridge of emotionalness, or you need me to give you space to conquer it by yourself. Whatever version of support you need, I'm there for you. And I will support you through fighting those demons and forgiving yourself. And I would bet, the final thing I'll say about personal stuff is, I will bet that when you do start conquering those demons and they start leaving your life, I bet your relationship with mom will be a lot better. I bet your need to not have people around you will shift and you'll want people around you. The introvert that I think you are might shift and might become more of an extroverted introvert that I think you once were. But I think until you accept what I've said and then do what you've taught me for my entire life, just take the first step, call a therapist, book in your first session. You sit down in that chair for the first time, it's going to be the roughest fucking shit ever, dude. It's going to be the hardest lift of your life. I promise you it's going to be harder than meditation. It's going to be harder than everything you've gone through with tea. It's going to be harder than everything you and I have gone through. It's going to be harder than my cancer. It's going to be the hardest thing you ever do. But as long as you take it one step at a time, you'll be fine. You'll conquer it. You'll come out the other side. And the last quarter is going to be fucking glorious. Bet you didn't know I was going to do this.
You're going to turn it on me and say, I need therapy.
I would turn to you as well, Mum, and say there's some demons that I also know you're still battling. And I think, Tracy said 100%. I would put a very similar 2024 resolution to yourself as well. And you guys need to support each other more now than ever. Instead of telling each other what you need to stand by each other and say, how can I help? I'm super proud of you, but that's the one thing I think in 2024 you need to work on personally. In terms of life stuff, in terms of life shit, you need to take more time off. You need to give yourself the ability to fucking enjoy some of your life. You work exceedingly hard, and I think part of the first point of you battling these demons is you fill your time so you don't have to fight the demons. I think it will happen pretty soon after you start fighting the demons. The moment they start lifting off your shoulders, I think you'll be okay with being in the silence a little bit more. And being in those moments of not chasing something, not doing something, not pushing for something, not needing to be moving. You know, I know with meditation you sit and you stop and you're with the silence, but you're still meditating. You're doing something. You're not just being. And I think you need to take some time off to just enjoy life, to just do Tom stuff. Have friends. You don't have friends. Have friends. Chase hobbies. Have fun with your hobbies. Sit in in the shower. Put some music on. And just fucking vibe. Like, fuck, dude. I think the moment you tackle the first one, it'll be so much easier for you to take time off and to do that because you won't be afraid of the silence. But that's my life stuff. Is for this last quarter, stop chasing things. Have a bit of fun. Fucking hell. You know, get out there and shake your ass on a dance floor with T. Go run up a hill. Go do the Rocky. Be at the top. Be proud of yourself for some shit. Go sit in the sun and just look at the sun. Enjoy the fucking vitamin D. Feel the melatonin. Fucking feel that fucking gorgeous fucking feeling. Get on a fucking ski slope. Snowboard. Go be in that fucking gorgeous powder. Just do some stuff for you. Because you're doing stuff for us all the time. Especially since you started meditating. You need to do some stuff for yourself. And that means taking some time off. That means taking some time for yourself.
I agree.
And taking some time to that. Any thoughts about both the first and second thing that I've said?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm closer, and I think I'm actually making progress to taking time for myself. So if you even look at my work days from last year to this year, I think I have done a lot better at,
I agree.
ending at a reasonable time, not working. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's better.
I agree.
Mom and I have I think I have probably put maybe more hope and expectation on the caravan that we bought, because it's almost like a forced time out that we would just, we'd leave on a Thursday, come back on a Monday, and there's just nothing else to do. And I think I probably need that more than Mom does, just like this unplugging. So it's late to have gotten here, but hopefully it'll get here in the next couple months, and we'll start that. So I think I'm heading in that direction with easing back. I'm also feeling more comfortable with HATD having some sort of model that I think could be sustainable. Let's see how it does after this Kickstarter, which provides me more confidence of like, I don't need to continually be putting like the fucking paddles on its chest and being like, let's fucking come on, breathe, HATD, breathe, HATD. You can do this.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
And the more evidence there is of that, the more confidence I have of like, my long, and I've shared it with you. My long game with HATD is to have less and less of a day-to-day impact and more of a strategic impact, and more just like higher level stuff.
Come and be the talent. Show up for a UFC stream. Show up for a D&D show, and basically, fuck off.
Basically, yeah. But like having an infrastructure in place that will do some of the things that we've built, and it can just kind of start running. And it feels like there's a little bit of that happening right now. A lot more to go, but let's see how the year goes, which again, like supports me stepping away, feeling better to step away. So I think that's heading in the right direction. Being curious about hobbies, really being curious about us, you know, having our long weekends away. We'll just talk about it constantly. So I am, you know, when I say those things and when I'm talking about those things, I really, really am looking forward to that time. So I think I'm heading in the right direction with that. With the other stuff, I don't know. I just don't. Like, in my mind, I probably, from what you're saying, have a huge blind spot, because in my mind, I have made peace with my brother's death in a way that's different than Tracy has, made peace with my dad's death in a way that's different than other people do when their dads die. And I might be wrong. You know, I might be wrong. I feel like, you know, if I'm wrong, then it's some sort of huge coping mechanism that's masking other stuff that I'm not even aware of, and that I'm not even I can't access right now. It's like there's a huge barrier there for me. Like because I don't, you know, if someone asks me, do I not think about my brother, or do I not think about my dad because I want it out of my life, or I just don't want to deal with feelings? My answer would be, I feel like I felt enough. Like, I felt so much. I felt too much. I felt everything for years for my brother, for years and years and years, like all of it. And I feel like he would be bummed at me if I was still in that space. I think he'd be proud of me in getting to a place where I'm just okay with it. I'm just, you know, it sucked so much. You know, it was all of the suck, everything. Mom knows how it felt with Clifford as well. It was just like, you know, life will never, ever, ever, ever be the same again. But at some point you wake up one day and you're like, oh, fuck, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do this anymore. It's just a one-way road to being at its mercy and not being able to move on with life. And I felt like I did that. And that I'm okay with it. Like I said, when I say I'm okay with it, it's not like I'm okay that he died. It's the worst. But I'm in a place where I felt like I had made peace with it, and I honor him by moving on. But I might be wrong. With my dad, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
You know, my dad
I'm
is
with
just,
your mum.
and with my mom.
Yeah. I think that one's eating you at the moment. But can I give you some insight that I think is an interesting one? I think what you tried to do and what you just said is evidence of what I'm talking about. You said, you know, I think he would be disappointed if he knew that you were still struggling. I'm going to tell you right now, neither Nikki nor Clifford would be disappointed in either of you if you were still struggling. If anything, they would appreciate how much you guys are feeling about it. That's not how that works. I think the other thing, dude, is I agree with you. There has to be a point where you have to get on with life. You have to continue on with grief. You have to move forward. But where mum is different to you is mum sits on a sofa in a lounge every day with Clifford across from her. And he's always there. He's always there. That's how mum is with it. He's always there for Tracy. And he's there in the kitchen when she's cooking. He's there in the gym when she's at the gym. He's there in the car when she's driving me to cancer appointments. He's there when she's sat talking to Nana. And the way Tracy has battled that for years is feeling those emotions and acknowledging those emotions and knowing that they will never go away and that he's there. I'd say there's things that Tracy could do in terms of moving forward that would possibly help T, but I think that's actually very healthy. I think acknowledging the fact that that's there all the time is not a bad thing. I think the analogy with you is you've got the red-headed stepchild locked in your basement. And with Nikki, you locked him away so that you could move forward. So every day he's not with you in everything you do. But what is with you is the knowledge that there's a key in your pocket. It's on a bunch of keys. That when you open, when every time you take your keys out to get in the car, open the door to your house, whatever, you see that tiny little gold key on there that leads to the basement. And you know what's down in that basement. And you know it's not been addressed for a very, very, very long time. And I think you, in your mind, see it as strength moving forward. But really, I think the damage that it has done to you is the absence of vulnerability, the absence of weakness, whatever you want to call it, has made you numb. And that's the difference. Is it's not that you are strong because of it. It's not that you're weak because of it. It's not that mum is weak because of the way she deals with it. It's that you currently are numb. And that's what I talked about. You're content. You're not happy. You're numb. You don't feel those depths anymore because you don't allow yourself to. You've locked it away and gone, cool, the box is there or the basement's there, but I'm past that. I don't have to go into the basement anymore. And I think what you haven't realized for a long time is that having that key and being numb to it and getting to a place where you're numb to it, which is a wild thing anyway, of locking something away so hard that you do become numb to it. And maybe you don't think about Nikki as much. Maybe you don't think about your dad as much. And you don't have to think about them every day. It's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making, though, is you haven't gone in that basement for years, for decades. You haven't gone to the basement and felt what you truly feel about the whole situation in years and years and years. Like, I know when you talk about it, it hurts. But even still, you would rather cut the conversation short and move on to something else. And relock the door. You stand at the door. You put the key in the lock. Sometimes even, you fucking turn it. And you go to reach for the handle, but it's still, you're not ready to, well, you haven't been ready to open the door. And I think the point that I'm making is there's some stuff that you need to go and you need to go talk to Nikki in the basement. You need to go talk to your dad about the abuse you suffered as a child, both physical and mental, the lack of relationship you had as an adult, the lack of relationship that you have with your mum, even though she's still alive. All this stuff, I think, is something that, again, I think requires you to feel like you're in a safe enough space to do so. And I don't think you can tackle it by yourself because it's been locked away for so long. I think you need someone to come and hold your hand as you walk down the stairs to the basement. And I think for the first 30 or 40 times that you go down there, you need someone to hold your hand and be in the room with you. I don't think you're going to be able to do it by yourself. I don't think I'm going to be the person that's going to be able to help you get down there. I don't think Mom's going to be the person that's going to be able to help you get down there. I think you need some space where you feel safe enough to do so. And then after the first 30 times, you'll start going down by yourself. And then after the next 30 times, you'll leave the key in the door and you'll go down by yourself. Then after the next fucking 100, 200 times, you'll just leave the door open. And Nikki will be able to come out and just be. There's no weakness in feeling those emotions. It actually makes you stronger. T, and one of the things I value about T, and I haven't, you and I have been having this conversation today, her strength is in how Tracy feels emotions. How true to Tracy's emotions she is. It's one of the things, that's one of the tools that Tracy gave me that I'm most proud of, is that when I'm sad, I let myself feel the full breadth and width of that sadness. I live in that sadness. I endure every moment. I smell it. I breathe it. I taste it. I let it seep into my skin, and I go to the depths of it. I search every corner. I turn on every light in that sadness. In the same way that when I have the best moment in my life, when I get engaged, I beam. I'm so excited. I live in that moment so full. I'm so present. I'm so there. I get to enjoy every fucking spectrum of that moment, and that's because that's what Mum does. She taught me how to do that. I don't think you've done that for a very long time. I think you allow yourself to feel the highs to a certain degree. I think you also cap some of your highs. But I think you let yourself to a certain degree feel the very highs as well. And I think you're really afraid of the lows. I think you're really scared of what's in the basement. And I think you're also really scared that you haven't gone down there in 57 years, and maybe the shame or embarrassment you maybe feel of not having allowed yourself to feel that for a very, very long time. But dude, I want you to know that there's so much power in that. There's no one would be disappointed with you because you still struggle with something like that. No, not Nikki, not me, not Mum, not Yaya, not fucking anyone. No one would be disappointed in Tom for being you, being honest, being aware. So that's why I said I think it's the thing that you need to work on. And I think you're right. For years you've told yourself that you've moved on, but I don't think you've ever actually moved on. I think, like I said, you just put it somewhere that you don't have to look at it, that you don't have to see it, that you don't have to think about it, that you don't have to endure it day in and day out. But that's what life is. Do I think I'm like a good example is my cancer? I'm never not going to live in fear. I'm never not going to live in fear now. I always said to myself, never me, not me. Never. Now every day I wake up and I feel something wrong in my body, it's the first thing I think about. Every day that I wake up, I'm thankful that it's another day that I've woken up because of what I went through. If I just locked that away and moved on, that wouldn't be real. That wouldn't be honest. That wouldn't be true. I need to feel that every day because it's who I am. It's the truth of my script. It's the truth of my journey. And that allows me to day in and day out be myself. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'll have to. I will. I'll commit to going to therapy and seeing what's there. That's because, like I said, I'm so far removed from it that I can't. I don't notice it anymore. It is, like I said, it could be a huge blind spot.
Yeah. I think that's reasonable. And I appreciate you wanting to work on that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know we'll support you. I'll support you.
It sounds like you're going to have a whole, like,
Almost like a family package.
We'll take up a whole practice. You see one person.
Tracy's saying we should all go see an entire practice of therapists, and we are the only clients. But I want you to know, dude, like, I'm also like super proud of you for how you have locked that away for so many years, because not proud, I'm astonished. I'm perplexed. I'm blown away at your strength that you've not tackled that for so long and that you've continued living. That's wild. That's wild. Takes some real balls to do that. Takes some real strength to do that. But also, I'd say it's also where you're at your weakest by not tackling that stuff. But yeah, anything else that you want to mention before we kind of round this out?
It's been a good one, hasn't it?
It's been a good podcast. For anyone who's watching this, I hope you've enjoyed. Sorry, anything else that you want to say? Sorry, I started fucking talking to nobody.
I think there's lots of good stuff that both of us shared with each other that I actually wasn't ready for that. When you said you probably knew that I was going to tell you this. No, I wasn't. Sometimes the thing that you need to address most is, and it's right in front of you, you don't see.
Oh.
So that's clearly the case with that, because like I said, I think there's probably a big old blockage. If you're seeing something, if y'all are seeing something, and I feel like there's nothing there, then I've got a blind spot.
Yeah, it's understandable. I think the health thing, I actually didn't think that's what you were gonna say today.
What'd you think?
I don't know. I don't know what I didn't know what you were gonna tell me, but I did.
What else could it have been?
I don't know. I just definitely didn't think it was gonna be that. But then obviously when you started, I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks for sitting down and having this with me. I know it was something you were afraid of and something you were worried about.
Yeah, there's something inside of me. I don't know what it was. Like, I'm not sure if it was wanting to be emotional, like too emotional. Like, yeah, I think there's probably a fear of like just being too
Oversure.
Yeah, maybe. But like we've had really emotional moments in front of the camera or with guests or off of the camera many times. So I think part of it is for me is I guess wanting to share something that's going to be of value to you, like wanting to be to find the truth,
Yeah.
and maybe that's what I was concerned about. So I feel like we got there.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree, and I just appreciate this opportunity to. Also, I think more than even tell you what was, because, you know, the demons thing has been something I've wanted to say to you for a long time. But I think I've been waiting longer to tell you how much I appreciate you. And, you know, I think we tell each other we love each other all the time, and, you know, we're like, oh, you're great, kind of thing. But I don't think we've talked about the depth of our appreciation for each other.
Yeah.
For maybe a very long time, maybe ever. I'd speculate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just really glad I got to get that out and tell you about all my appreciation for you and how much you mean to me. Yeah, dude. Fucking 2024, let's take it into new heights, new lows, better versions of ourselves.
I love you, man.
Love you too. Oh, I love you so much. You're the best. Thanks for being incredible, always. I'm so proud of you. Love you.
Love you too.
Love you, Dad. Fucking jabroni. But yeah, guys, so 2 guys sharing emotions, being open with each other. I hope you enjoyed listening to...
Not just 2 guys, but father and son as well.
Yeah.
Which is just a whole other twist to it.
It's never too late to tell someone you love them and be thankful that you have someone that you love as much as you probably do in your lives. So in 2024, tell someone you love them. Tell them why you appreciate them. Give them one piece of something that they need to work on. Thank you for supporting Homie and the Dude. We appreciate every person that has engaged with what we do, whether it's our Kickstarters, whether it's an Instagram post, a tweet, an actual play video, a short that we've released, a Discord message or whatever. We just appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Thanks for being part of the Familia. And 2024 is going to be the year of the Familia. Yeah. 2024 is going to be for you guys. And and for us. Love you,
Oh,
dude.
yeah. I love you too, man.
Right. We'll
Thanks,
catch you
everyone.
guys next year.